Welcome back to Not Alone with Melissa Sue Methvin. Now, many people ask me why I started my podcast about a year and a half ago. And it was truly so nobody feels alone. At 42, I was a widow, felt very much alone in that transition. I felt alone having lost a husband due to suicide with 2 young children. And so what helped me, I dove into listening to podcasts, reading books of people that had gone through immense trauma and how they got it out. So each guest that I have on is just that, sharing their story and how they got out some very hard, dark times of their lives so that nobody feels alone. And if we can save one life to not feel alone, this is my why. This is me being of service, and I'm utilizing podcasting to reach the masses. So today's guest is another guest that you'll hear that has gone through a diagnosis of cancer, which oftentimes creates so much fear and anxiety. And her name is Marina Blackford, a 2-time cancer survivor. And now she uses her YouTube platform and social media to give tips for going through chemo, for going through that transition, losing your hair, where your hands might get really sweaty and hot through the procedures and the chemo, from the fatigue. And so today is such an honor to have you on and sharing your story, because I know today somebody is having that hard diagnosis. And I truly pray that our episode reaches them somehow, some way. Only God knows. He'll make sure that episode reaches them.
Yep.
So it's such an honor to have you here.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful intro. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. I'd love to, because, we've got connected through a mutual friend, Holly from Stoltopia, and I really don't know your story.
I love
and
that.
I love that. Yeah, I actually really like that.
Yes.
I really like not knowing, because it's so raw and real conversation.
Yep.
So I want to know, leading up to your diagnosis, and if I remember correctly from listening, I do know your first diagnosis was at 31.
That's correct.
Which is extremely young.
Yeah.
And that touched me so much, because my aunt, my mom's sister, got a breast cancer diagnosis at 32. And she had 2 young children. They were 2 and 4 at the time. So I know how painful that was. And I just want to know, where were you at a year, 2, 5 years prior to that diagnosis?
That's such a good question. Most people ask just where I was at in that moment, but I think it's important to look at where you were at before hardship sometimes, because it might be a little clue as to why you're where you are.
Yes. Yeah. Because I always say the body will whisper, right?
Oh, yeah.
Those little whispers leading up.
It's a rock, pebble, stone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It'll whisper until you can't not hear it.
Yes. I know.
Yes.
And oftentimes I've connected the dot now. And why I have this platform, don't wait till it gets so loud.
Yeah.
Right. And we often numb those whispers, or we normalize them. Or we normalize the little whisper, the fatigue, they're different sometimes. So that's what I want to hear. What were those little whispers? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a year prior to being diagnosed, so I was 31, I was single, I was in my career of dental hygiene and, just paying my bills and traveling and really enjoying life. But a year prior, I had exited a relationship that I had been in for 10 years. And I actually celebrated it around a little bit before being diagnosed, saying it was my year anniversary of being single, and I celebrated it. And I had friends laugh that they're like, "I've been single this whole time. Why haven't I been celebrating my single anniversary?" But I was that's always kind of been how I am. So that's a little clue into my personality. I always spin things a bit, into a positive, like leaning into it, you know?
Like that.
And so that relationship was something I grew through in my 20s, and I learned a lot and a lot of good things from it. But turning 30, realizing that wasn't my forever place to be, it was really empowering to step into the next part of my life. And I started to travel and just enjoying the single life. And at that point, I had been running a lot, and I had finally built up enough strength and belief that I could do a full marathon, 26.2 miles. And it had been this journey to even get there, by the way. I mean, there was a point in my life where I said, I am not a runner, to somebody that asked if I was. And then now I was training for my third marathon right before being diagnosed. So that's where I was. I was training for this marathon. I was about to run the Mesa Marathon in Phoenix, Arizona, in the East Valley. And, but I had the Pebble Rock stone. I had this little twinge of pain that was showing up in one of my breasts. And it was just this little twinge, and it was every day. And it was just a gentle reminder at the time that it was time to schedule my first mammogram. And so, to give you a little back history also, my mom was a two-time breast cancer survivor at that time. And they said, go at 31 for your first mammogram. Like this number they gave me, 10 years younger than your mom. And I'm like, I have this twinge of pain. I'm 30, about to be 31. It was that little whisper, like telling me it was time to call my women's doctor, get the referral. And so I did. I just started taking those steps alongside of training for this marathon. And so I went to my women's doctor, got the mammogram, and the mammogram, my breast was sore from that little bit of pain, from them squishing your breast and checking it. I'm like, that just doesn't feel right. And it was concerning to them. And they said, we need you to come back and do a biopsy. And so as soon as they could do that, it was about 2 weeks after, which was perfect in my mind because my priority was running this marathon I had been training for. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go run this marathon next week, and I'll be back the week after. And that's what I did. I ran the Mesa Marathon with the sole goal of qualifying for the Boston Marathon.
Wow.
So that's huge because you do have to run fast for 26.2 miles. And so I went to the Mesa Marathon. This is my third time running it, coming from somebody that said they were once not a runner. And I now knew I could do a marathon. This was my third year in a row of doing this same marathon. And I just knew in my mind I just knew I was going to do it that day. I can't even explain it. I knew my training went as well as it could. I had the belief I could do it. I knew all the turns and corners of this race. And so when I was so close to the end of this race, I had a very small window of qualifying. Like I had to run an 8-minute mile for the last 2 miles. Oh, wow. No give at all. And I could start to hear people at the finish line. Because if you've ever ran a race and there's like the 0.2 of a 26.2 or a 0.1 of a 3.1, 5K, it's like you're so close, but you're not there. I could hear people, and I gave it everything. My legs were sore. My toes had blisters, which is not always common in my races, but this one, I just fought for it. And I crossed that finish line, and I had just a couple minutes to spare. I had qualified for Boston. So that's where I was at 1 week before getting the biopsy that ended up coming back positive for breast cancer.
Wow. Yeah. I want an accomplishment right before, and showing how your mindset, right? Okay, you shifted your mindset, but I'm not a runner, that I can do this. And in fact, now I could do a marathon, which I've never done myself. I've always claimed to be a runner, love running. And actually, in fact, I utilize running when suppressing so much information, so much anxiety going on. I'm like, I just need to run, right? That was my therapy.
It's like primal.
Yeah, it is. It is primal to just move it out of your body, all that energy. So that must have been such a, almost like in a high, you're like, wow, I did it.
It was the mountaintop.
Mountaintop.
I felt like I did Everest.
Yeah. And I wonder if that gift gave you, when you got your diagnosis, you're like, I could do hard things. Yeah. Right?
100%.
I can conquer this mountain now. It gave you almost that strength, that mental strength that you probably needed with that diagnosis now. Yeah. And I'm just curious, just to circle back to, you had mentioned leaving a 10-year relationship. Now that's a long time would be with someone. Yeah. And there's obviously a grief period, even though you said you celebrate, which is great, because how many people that are single out there where they feel out of the box, right? And the 30s or 40s, 50s. And there's probably should now, and settle and don't have kids and all the things, right? That comes into the mind. So was that relationship, if you don't mind me asking, was it a toxic relationship or it was just mutual leaving? Like how did that relationship for that 10 years being together, how it affected you for your body, for your health?
Wow. Yeah. Oh man, it was everything. I mean, I felt like I grew through it, right? Because your 20s is so much growth. It's so much figuring out who you are and what you like doing, and I felt like we were able to do that at the time, right? I went to college, become dental hygienist, and that person had a career of emergency medicine and then joining the military. And we went through all that together. And so at the end, yes, it felt like a relationship that for me was very draining, to be honest. I just felt like a lot of give and not a lot of receiving. And that was a choice on me. Where am I at? Is this where I want to stay? But when it ended, I think it ended honestly in a way of me finding out about infidelity, which I'm okay saying because I know, and I've told anybody that was around me at the time about this, I think that was the only way I would have left. So as strong as I want to appear, on the outside, like I needed that to know that it was done.
Yes.
And so there was a heartbreak in that sense. But again, I always just flip everything. I'm like, it had to end that way.
Yeah, it had to be that gift.
Because it was the only way I would have known that I needed to step away. It really was.
Sometimes people, we don't want to see it, right?
And when we talk about body,
right?
Oh my gosh, the gut. Like I knew in my stomach, I knew in my body for probably about a year before. A friend of mine's a therapist in Scottsdale, and she was saying, the body will know before the mind.
Oh, okay. So were you having like gut issues, or were you having?
I didn't know it. It was just a feeling, like it was just in my stomach. I felt like there's something that's supposed to change here.
Yeah, you can feel it. That's why I feel like the gut says it. For me, it was like acid reflux or having a harder time digesting.
I didn't have like symptoms necessarily. I think it was literally like an ache. Just that knowing.
Yes.
Inside, and it's crazy that it's the gut too.
Yes, and that'll affect your nervous system because almost when you're in that presence of, even though your body knows that this no longer aligns. Yeah. But when you're in that present, it's almost on high alert. Yeah. So your nervous system will be in that fight and flight when you're around that person because you no longer need to be around them. Yeah. And so I've realized that just, studying the nervous system and my own journey. And
reflecting back on it, like the clarity that comes after it, that you're like, oh, that makes sense. Why I might have felt that way. So yeah, I'm really happy you asked that actually, because I think somebody could hear that and
sometimes we're not willing to see it depending on how. Okay, you were working, how many days a week were you working at that point?
I was working 4 days a week at that point.
And that's a lot. In dental hygiene, any dental
thank you
field,
for saying that.
It is a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Trust me, because right now I do 2 days a week and I'm like, that's like a sweet, because you start getting carpal tunnel, your back, everything.
It's physical, but it's exchange of energy too, because people come in nervous. And so you're trying to always calm them with your energy and you could be a patient every hour, right? So, and I always said every hour I want to make that patient feel like they're my only patient of the day. Yes. But you do that times like 8 or 10, I've
been at one office here. I was like 12. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's a lot of energy to give all day to make people feel comfortable. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up because I was curious. Once I learned you were a dental hygienist, which I didn't till today. Yeah, I was like very curious because where you were at. So your nervous system, obviously, when you're at dental hygienist, I know we're such in close proximity and we do take on our patient's nervous system, which often is somebody that's scared. Yeah. Somebody that has anxiety the minute they sit in that chair and we will try and comfort them. We're kind of that first line of defense, before they see the exam with the dentist, and we're on the preventative side, but we don't understand how as a dental hygienist over time that affects our nervous system if we don't do different things to release what we've just carried for someone, doing our own internal work. And that for me was breath work. And so that's why I coach now, dental professionals in between patients when you're washing your hands to do a couple breath to relax, to downregulate your nervous system, which in a dental practice, I used to pride myself to go, wake up at 4:45, go to the gym, get my kids ready for school, bring them to school, go to work, go pick them up, make dinner.
And try to come home in a happy state too. Like
have the
not
energy
exhausted.
for my kids.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I would pride myself for checking that box all day long, and my nervous system never stopped. Never stopped. And how that impacted me. And of course, being in a relationship also where it would impact my nervous system, where my body was also speaking up and saying, this is not right anymore. You know, to have boundaries and this like that. But until, like you, something big happens, and me too. I do not leave a toxic relationship until the worst case scenario, right? And so and I realize it has come to be because of our nervous system. Our nervous system, we were kind of that, either the fawn or, you know, you're in that freeze state because you're tapped out. So making that first step is hard. When you are in that nervous system state where you're in that fight and flight, making that first step is overwhelming. You overthink it. So, but for you, I love that you did have that courage, even though because trust me, I know a lot of people that they find out that information of adultery and they're like, okay, well, we can make this work, which some can.
Well, some of them might be, you know, either because there's always two sides to everything and then the middle or something. But because their side could be lots of excuses or talking, whatever. I feel like I'd kind of gone through that emotionally in the relationship before. But this was it where it was like, no, this is
But that you had the courage to move. But then there had to be a grieving process.
Yes. I always, and that's the exact word I used too. I think the grieving process for me, because that was my friend in a part of my life that I grew, you know, my 20s. And so I really grieved that, you know, because we had a lot of good time together or trips or whatever, you know, I'm like, it's like losing a friend. But
I feel like the running was probably part of it.
It was definitely absolutely. I'm sure running was part of both, apparently. I think it was part of hygiene as well, because sometimes I would do a run right after work, but I was even that person that would go for walks on the lunch break.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, I go outside now and I go sit under a tree.
I mean, I'll mingle with my social, my coworkers a little bit, you know, like phone, you know, check message, eat lunch. And I'm like, okay, if I have 20 minutes, I'm going for a walk.
Go outside too.
There would be a park in the neighborhood near the dental office. I'm like going for a walk. Which plays into my story later with YouTube. But for sure. I kind of lost my train of thought there. But no,
I love the backstory before we get in. I know it's very important to know because you have such a great story of how how you can help people through chemo and all of that. But I want people to start hearing the before. So then those could be, okay, maybe we're signaling something to someone right now. What is your gut saying?
What is your gut saying?
In the relationship you're in. Because I see it so much. Who you are living with, who you are spending life with, are they affecting your health?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
If it isn't just mentally and emotionally, it could be phically too. Because, you know, I gave the excuse of like your 20s is your time that you might party more, you know, college life, whatever. But we
normalize it.
At some point, to be honest, that should really slow down.
Oh, yes.
And it wasn't in that relationship. And so, where if I'm starting to run more and stuff and it doesn't feel like that person's supporting that, you know, like let's move in this direction of health. Versus like we're young and free and partying, then it wasn't. It really wasn't. So it's true. It was like kind of a bar lifestyle, which is bar food and drinking. And it's like,
It's
so
not,
all
it's
the
it.
aspects
Or they bring
really
you
weren't.
is the significant other bring you to be your best self or drawing you into their spiral? Right? In which path do you want to take? So that's, I feel, is an important message. How are you feeling around that person? And are you starting to feel these little symptoms being around them? You know, be observant of that because even mental abuse, you can't physically, you're like, oh, nobody's hitting me. But the mental abuse keeps you in that spiral that cloud is so confusing. And I've seen it where people get spiral and get stuck in those situations until somebody from the outside starts seeing it and can kind of draw them out. Right? But it's almost...
Or your health will draw you out.
Yes, your health. The health. The health plummets is where I see it. And now I can't help but see it so clearly. So where I'm like, their health is because of who they are around right
Yes.
now, and it's impacting them. And now, so that's why I want the backstory of because usually cancer doesn't just sprouts over a month, right? It's like it's years of those little nicks, to your nervous system, to your cells. They're losing their light, bring in the science of that. And oftentimes people don't reflect back on the suppression of emotions, how it affects on a cellular level.
Yep.
And I want people to hear that. I want people to know that, because that led you to a diagnosis at 31.
Yeah.
At 31, where you said, well, at this time you were running, you had community, life to seem
great job.
Great. And you had a great mental state. It seems like you're very positive in nature, but it was those slow nicks leading up to it, Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. It affecting my physical health, mental health. And so everything led where it was supposed to be, though, I think is how I view it.
And when you got your diagnosis, what stage were you at, if you don't mind me asking?
I was stage 2 due to the size of the tumor. And so a mammogram can find tumors, right? So we found a tumor where that twinge of pain was. That was a fast-growing tumor, which is called a grade. So that was grade 3. Fast growing in dense breast tissue. And that's why I could feel that little twinge of pain.
Was it warm and painful at all?
I mean, I just couldn't ignore it. It was like a, I guess you could say warm.
Because I've had that in my, and I had a scare as well,
Yes.
And it was hot, it was heat, and it was a pain. Yeah.
It was definitely a pain. It was an ache. An ache is how I would describe it. Like you can't ignore it. But that being said, yes, women can get nodules in dense breast tissue, and that could be, so it's not always cancer, but it's always worth checking.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Always worth checking, 100%. Yeah. And so it was stage 2 due to the size, which is over a centimeter. But it was not stage 3 because it hadn't advanced to lymph nodes, or stage 4, which would be other areas.
Which is why it's so imperative to do preventative, testing, right?
Yep. So I'm so glad they gave me that protocol. I'm so glad I listened to my body, and I went in and got it done.
And then, so for your procedure, what was recommended was chemo, radiation?
Yeah, good question. With breast cancer, there are so many subtypes, so some people could get confused with having breast cancer. Well, they didn't do chemo, or they just removed a lump. So with mine, it was triple negative. So that's negative for the 3 hormone receptors that can feed breast cancers. That is considered a more aggressive breast cancer. But the good news is it responds to chemo well. And so being diagnosed triple negative, I was told I would start chemo. And I also found out I had the genetic mutation that my mom had, which as soon as I found out I had breast cancer, I'm like, I'm sure I am BRCA1 positive, because my mom had it twice at that point. So that's about 10% of breast cancers that have a genetic mutation on the breast cancer gene. So that is in your immune system, it just doesn't fight off.
Yeah, that's why I actually feel like doing genetic testing. People almost say, well, I don't want to know. But if you did know, the preventative things that you can kind of be attuned to.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I almost feel like knowing I was positive for BRCA1, I knew I would remove my breasts, because that was the best odds of not having cancer come back, which did happen for my mom. She had it twice. And that was because they used to not test for the genetic mutations. They didn't have all that technology then. But by the second time they did, and she removed her breast. So I found out I was that. And so it's almost like, I'm glad we're talking about all of this, because if somebody hears this and they're BRCA1, like myself, or maybe they're checking to see if they are, it's good to know your options. But for all the others, it's good to know all of it. Yes. BRCA1 it's empowered me to know I could take control of my journey, remove my breasts. But also the 90% that it's not genetics, and we can empower all those other areas of our life to prevent breast cancer as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that, because some people's like, well, that could stay in their mind. Well, my mom, and I always say, just stay on because that's again, speaking to your body, say, well, they got it, because my aunt did that. Yeah. Because her sister, died of breast cancer at such a young age. She kept on saying, well, I'm going to get it. And I'm going to get it. And she came to visit last fall, and I said, she's French, I was like,
Yes.
ma tante, you were literally bring that on, saying, I will get it. I will get it. And she's
Yeah.
like, I know.
Yeah.
And she did get it.
Yeah.
And she survived it and she went
Thank
through
God.
treatment. But
Yeah.
it's like you have to be careful of your mindset too
Yes.
when you think of your family members.
Yes.
And because your mind speaks to each cell of your body, and
Mhm.
doing the genetic testings, I do find it beneficial because then you can, on a cellular level, is how to optimize your body where disease can't grow.
Yes.
That's where I'm really
100%.
passionate about. Just came back from a She Healed documentary in Cannes in the film festival,
Yes.
where they advocate for women's health. And I had 80 experts that were there from all over talk about what's affecting our hormones. From Dr. Pompa was there, just they're all advocating as to how we keep your cells
Mhm.
healthy.
Yeah.
So then your body is not a breeding ground for illness, right?
Definitely. Yeah, exactly. It's about supporting the immune system.
Yes. And so even with cancer treatment, I'm curious, did you try anything else in adjunction to the chemo to support your cells along the way, or immunotherapy, or, I've heard so many things that works great as far as red light therapy with methylene blue and to ivermectin, different things that I heard other cancer survivors, other practitioners use in adjunction.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. When I was diagnosed, I was at a cancer center, and actually initially I was I was referred to a breast specialist that I saw initially, an older man. And I kept discussing, I felt very open about discussing everything. So in my running group, and one of my patients were nurses that worked at the cancer center I ended up going to. They referred me to the oncologist I saw. It was the whole, like, if my mom, my sister, if I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I would see this person. Okay. So I went to get my second opinion with that person. And so I think that's very important to mention, because I think sometimes you might need another referral or another opinion just to kind of feel comfortable with your next step. And so when I met that oncologist, everything was explained so well. She made it very clear, you have triple negative. It's very aggressive. I don't want to mess around with it. Chemo's recommended. And so I trusted her, and I knew I would do that. That being said, since that time, I have become a certified holistic cancer coach. So I have learned about the things you're talking about, supporting the immune system, alternative therapies. But being a holistic cancer coach, there are times that I can definitely tell you, for certain cancers, you do need traditional medicine. It's very important to get that.
Yeah, I always say it's a blend.
That opinion.
I think it's
for
a
me,
blend,
it's a
right?
blend.
Yes.
And so I feel like the internet in the world wants us to pick a side.
Yes, I know. I'm like that. It's like bridge both.
And that's not me.
That's not me either.
It's not me.
It's like sometimes people
maybe it's a hygienist in us too.
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes people take it wrong the way I say explain things. But I was like, I'm not against medication and all that, but let's blend both. Yes. Right? Because there's a benefit in blending both.
If we want longevity. Yes. Right?
Right.
Like, I mean, because there was a whole world of medicine before medicine, so why not look at all of it? Yeah. So I'm thankful for the journey. I'm thankful that I knew that I had no doubt I would do chemo. That was important, because young women die of triple negative that do not get chemo. I will just say that. I know that for a fact. I've had a friend pass away. She did not have triple negative, but she had HER2 positive and didn't start with chemo. She went the entire holistic route until the end, and she's not here. And she was diagnosed in her 30s. And she was, I would say, fitter than me. She had fitness competitions and amazing things. So chemo did save my life. But what I did during chemo was I went to the cancer center and said, what else do you have here for me? And there was, in this back little section of the cancer center, MD Anderson, at the time they had acupuncture, and they had yoga and a social meetup. And so the one thing I could do was acupuncture because of the schedule and working. And so I'm like, sign me up. And so my oncologist had to approve it, but they were able to do it during chemo. And it helped manage so many symptoms of anxiety, of neuropathy, which is very common with chemo, certain types of chemo, but getting numbness and pain in your hands and feet from the effects of chemo. And so it can prevent that. So I had acupuncture during almost all of my chemo. It is something they took out of the cancer centers after the pandemic.
Oh, no.
Because it was a non-essential
Okay.
during the pandemic.
They should start seeing it as like
and it
a
broke my
priority.
heart because, and I
Yes.
know this because I'll probably get there, but I'm a 2-time survivor, right? So this is my first journey we're talking about. But my second journey happened in 2020, diagnosis, end of 2020. So I went through 2021, the pandemic, in treatment again at the cancer center. And so that was taken out. But I did go see an acupuncturist from time to time. It was just very helpful. And then I did anything else I could. I wore wristbands that prevented nausea, something you might wear on like a cruise ship.
Yes.
I took ginger with me. I drank ginger tea in the morning. I would brew it and take it with and drink it. So I just felt like all these little practices, it was like taking my marathon mindset into treatment. And I just thought, how can I support myself during this time? Wow. If I'm choosing chemo, which I did, and I chose it, I like when my hair loss came, and I lost my hair, it's heartbreaking. It's a transition.
Oh, yeah, especially as a woman, I feel like that we're so attached to
We're so attached to our hair. It was the one thing in
Mm-hmm.
that meeting with that oncologist when she's saying, you're going to have chemo, you're going to lose your hair, you'll likely lose your breasts, if your genetic testing's positive. It was. I started to cry and I felt so vain in that moment. And they said, no, I mean, this is external.
It's our identity.
We can even hide what's under our shirt, but this is our identity. But accepting all of that.
But didn't you, I did read one of your clips. I love that you shared a tip, which I love, where you're like, if you had, because you had long hair, you say, cut your hair.
Yes.
And in that way, that gives you almost that, okay, it's cut. So
Yes.
you go through that mentally, and then it won't be as much as having the really
It was
long hair.
really helpful for the transition. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know where that came recommended, but I did it. I chopped my hair short before losing it. So that way I knew what it would look like when I wanted to grow it back, and I would have a hairstyle to strive for. It helped with the transition. Yeah. Every little thing I did just helped. And so I took that marathon mindset into my treatment plan and supported myself with all of these things.
Yeah. And even the mindset leading up in believing that this chemo is good for you, right?
Yes. Right? Thank you. I mean, I was leading to that, but I would not let the words set in of like chemo's toxic or poison or some of the words people might use or feel. That's fine. That's up to them. But when I lost my hair, I told myself, good, the chemo's working.
Oh, that's so good.
I mean, it's all about how you view things. I mean, that sucked. But if I'm trying to get rid of cancer and my hair is a side effect, that sucks.
It's working.
But I need to live. If I'm doing this, I'm doing it for a reason. And so I would always say things like that, like, good, the chemo's working.
I like that. I like that mindset because actually my last guest was Melissa Nuclo, who is also a cancer survivor. Yes. And she changed the mindset like that about when she'd get the chemo, she would, pray on it, said, this is going to be good. Just whatever I need, take the good from it. What's not good, release it. Yes. And she believed her healing. She already believed she's already cancer free. And I truly believe her mindset helped her heal as well.
I was going to say, bless oncologists that don't give you even your stage sometimes, to be honest. I'm always fine sharing my stage. A lot of people love to ask about it. What stage were you? And honestly, unless I'm going to die tomorrow, I don't know that it mattered a ton.
Right. Because it kind of gives you almost a fear.
The oncologist was just like, this is the type of breast cancer you have. Here's what we're going to do. Because this is what we need to do to get you cancer free. Done. Yeah. Done. Because sometimes we get too hung up on the stages and the what ifs and then forget about it if you start to Google things at night.
Oh, yeah.
So I really steered clear of a lot of that because I trusted where it was at.
You trusted, which is so important. I think even if somebody says, okay, they're given the stage 4, don't equate that with a death sentence.
No, I have stage 4 friends. They're credible. They've been thriving for 10 years.
That's so good. And I think that's so important to hear because that mindset will give you the power to kind of keep going and maybe, find ways to support yourself throughout. So what else are you supporting now as a coach that is an adjunction or that blends in with the chemo and radiation. Because I think when people are open to that, I remember having Melissa, she's like, okay, now I am open to incorporating some of these different modalities, but it's hard. Who do you trust, right?
Yes.
And having someone like you who has gone through it twice and know how it will impact your body along the way, I think that's where somebody would trust you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really individual, to be honest. When I've worked with people with coaching, most of my work is all on YouTube. And then I did start to offer coaching, and I really have enjoyed that. I've been able to support people through treatment that have been diagnosed, but it's just such an individual thing, how people process it and handle it. And so I think the steps of where they want to begin. Do they want to begin with their mind? Do they want to begin with their food? You know?
Yeah, because nutrition is a big one, right?
It's a big one.
Don't you
Nutrition
find in
really
cancer,
is.
like, if you don't want to feed the cancer.
I don't think it takes much though to turn our nutrition around. I think we put way too much on it in a way.
That's good. I think we need to simplify it.
People,
it's like, okay, simplify
people
it.
want like a grocery list of tell me exactly what to do. And I want to be like, well, tell me what you're doing now and what's one thing we can eliminate. What's one thing we can swap? I actually don't even use the word eliminate. I usually say swap, I guess, unless it's smoking, you know. The goal there is to quit. But when it's, I probably drink too much soda. Okay, well, what can we swap that with? Can we cut that all the way back to one Diet Coke? Can we switch that out for trying something different? It's like, that's where we start.
I like that. So you're simplifying it, then overriding their whole diet right away.
I mean, if that's where they're at, if they come to you and say, I'm ready, let's purge the pantry, then I'm like, let's do it. But it's just so individual.
Which is great, because it probably depends on where they're at. If it might be overwhelming if you're saying, okay, we got to revamp everything and here's all the protocol, and that doesn't work either, right?
Well, it took me years to believe I was a runner, let alone get to a marathon. So a lot of people have to build on the belief that they can do it.
Yes.
And a lot of people just don't believe they can do it. They're like, oh, cooking's too hard, eating healthy is too hard, working out's too hard, whatever it is.
Yeah, so now you have to work with mindset first.
Yeah,
right?
mindset. And you work with mindset sometimes by just like one little thing.
Yeah. Which is so important. Yeah, you got to start where they're at, meet them where they're at, right? And so it's not a cookie cutter type of protocol, which is important. And what are some of the, are you doing anything now that is, that you're trying to keep cancer at bay, or different protocols that you're taking on for yourself?
I think stress
management.
I think stress management is huge. And, where I'm at now, I'm on a new path. And it's very exciting, but it's very nerve-wracking, because I don't have this safety blanket of dental hygiene right now. I've chosen that, though. I've chosen to step into where God is leading me, and it's been able to speak to some corporate wellness events, and I love that. And so it's nerve-wracking. And so my management right now is one day at a time, which is how I got through treatment. One day at a time. Like today, what's the most important thing I have to do today? Today, I need to talk to God, what priorities are for the family, and then just take it one step at a time.
Yeah, because you have a child, right?
Yes, I have two.
You have two.
Yes.
How old are they?
Yeah, my son is 8, my daughter's 5.
Okay, 5.
Yes.
So I love that you're prioritizing stress management, because we've normalized the go, the fast pace. How much more can I fit in? Whereas healing, so this is again, me in the nervous system, I can't lens. We cannot heal. The body cannot heal in that sympathetic fight and flight. It just physically, science, you can't heal in that state. So the minute you are in the parasympathetic, that's the rest and repair, more oxygen to the body, more blood flow. So we have to constantly, on a daily basis, what can I do to slow down more? Yeah. Like sit in prayer. Yeah. How can I take a few breaths? Like for me, it's breath work. Breath work is something you can carry with you every day.
So good.
And normalizing slowing down, not having guilt, especially as a parent, right? Yeah. We have that guilt. Yours, the 5-year-old stage is a busy stage, right? Yes. And so normalizing taking mom time, dad times, and to heal.
So true.
And for the family.
But taking the time and taking it guilt-free, like being in it too, giving yourself the permission. Because a lot of us women do it to ourselves. We're either not accepting the help, or we're guiltily doing the thing for ourselves. So it's really
the overgiving that you had mentioned, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Have you worked on that? Because it sounds like that was a pattern too. Because I know I have.
Yes. Learning to say no. Yes. I was yes man for so long. And the great thing about yes man is it takes you on such amazing adventures. I was on an adventure last summer. I said yes on social media, and I ended up at Jesse Itzler's house,
Okay.
who his
wow.
wife is Sarah Blakely, the Spanx founder.
Yes. Wow.
And I just wanted Mother's Day, retreat to go. But I was amongst 40 entrepreneurs that paid a lot of money, and to me, we're doing a lot more amazing things. And I was like, I'm a YouTuber. But at the same time,
you were meant to be there.
It's building my, it's because we don't give ourselves enough credit for what we've been through in life sometimes.
Yes.
And we've all been through something. So if you've been through something that you're just a step ahead of someone else, you can always pay that forward to the person behind you.
Absolutely.
So it was important to say, like, actually, yes, I have built a YouTube to over, 30,000, and I've reached millions worldwide, because my sole mission of starting the YouTube was to give chemo tips.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So,
I've watched your short clips, and
Yeah.
they are so needed. They are
thank you.
I've never seen that. And I was like, oh gosh, how many people would need those little tips leading up to it, be prepared
Yep.
and changing those mindset. And you should be so proud. And I feel the more for me that I work on my nervous system, more I'm ready for these big things that I'm supposed to be at.
Yes.
My nervous system could take that on because it is new, like speaking on stages, being in front of the camera. Like those are things that would like completely give me so much anxiety.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah. And when you start to see people do it, let's say on social media or something, they always make it look so easy, or you don't see the behind the scenes, but the truth is we're all building on this belief.
Oh yeah. I do so much prep work. Like even leading up to here, I sit in my meditation. I do breath work. I have my sound bowls. I do some prepping leading up. When I went up to cons, and I actually hit podcasts from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I had never done that before. Yeah. I brought my PMF mat, red light. I actually peptides. I love NAD.
Is the PMF mat the kind of little pokey?
They're a little bit. No, they had crystals in it. It's the Therasage one.
Oh, okay.
But PMF is just the electromagnetic.
Oh, wow. You have to share more with me about that. I do have red light mats. Yes.
Yeah, and I took it throughout my travels and laid down on there. And that
I love
really
my
helped.
red light mat.
Yes.
Like, again, you're
it.
like, oh, I don't know what this does. I can tell you what it intentionally does is makes you sit down.
Yes.
Or lay down, whatever it is, right?
Yes.
And sometimes that's all we need.
And sometimes it put me to sleep. I'm like, it puts me on there, and it helps me just kind of get grounded and slow down. And then I fall asleep so easily. Yep. And so those are the little tools, right? And sometimes because of our environment, unfortunately, we don't live in a bubble, right? So a lot of things that we don't see is affecting our nervous system on a daily basis from EMFs, our phones, 5G. So putting that away.
Yes.
When you go to bedtime. Now, one thing I've been doing is turning off the router when we go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All these little things that, they're little tweaks that you start noticing what is affecting my nervous system. Because the more I work on it, stress management, the more I'm ready to be in alignment to fully step into my purpose, right?
Yep.
And I'm more ready to show up as a mom too, for seeing the truth, right? Because sometimes if I think back, when I knew I'm living with a man now that is addicted to opioids and pain meds, and now I understand the reasons why, as far as like the nervous system affected on a daily basis in a dental practice, but also the mercury poisoning in a dental practice, the sensory overload. So there's so much I've learned now that can impact your nervous system. So this is why I utilize the podcast to educate and hear your story and hear how mindset, stress management should be on the highest priority, and sleep, right?
Sleep's huge. Sleep. I love that. And even just the sense of like, we're always like, what do I need to do? Sometimes it's not adding something. Sometimes it is taking something away. It's like more of a subtraction thing. I guess that's why I even start with the swap, right? Okay, let's swap this for that, like a healthy habit for it.
For example, a lot
like
of people
let's swap scrolling for 10 minutes for walking for 10 minutes.
Yes.
I mean, that's just a swap,
Exactly.
You're not adding anything.
Being mindful of how much time, we do spend on our phones. To even people, professionals that if they are working 5-6 days a week, okay, how can we manage bring it down, right? Where you can actually enjoy.
Have to learn how to delegate.
Life, right? To delegate and release control, which is really hard for business owners oftentimes. And so, just finding these swaps. Okay, do we need financially, that would obviously the financials come to play. Okay, do we need to downgrade? So then I'm healthier. And not having that heaviness,
what cost, right?
Yes, at what cost?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So So being mindful of all these little swaps that we often put excuses behind too, right?
Yes.
And
such a good point,
yes.
especially as a mom where like, I'm too tired to work out or I'm too tired. Like I have to like just put that in there. I mean, I went to the gym this morning with my kids,
Yeah,
and I was like,
good.
I need this for my mental health.
Yes. Oh, me too. That's always a big one.
It's just got to be in there and everything else can work around it.
Yeah.
So you got to put in those heavy blocks of what's most important, and health should be part of that.
It should, yeah. You should see it as a gift that you can work out. A lot of people's like, well, I'm not a workout person or I'm not a gym person.
Sure. I've done all of it though. I've had babies. So, I mean, I've used an app at home, you can use YouTube at home from your TV, from your phone. I mean, pockets of time, somebody's, a child's napping. I'm working out for 15 minutes on a yoga mat.
Yeah. And then as my kids grew, because I had a home gym too in Alaska, and I would just bring the kids in there during nap time.
Yeah.
And even now that my kids, it's summer break. So a little harder to navigate work and this. Well, yesterday I was like, okay, I still have a lot of the weights and set up that in my garage. So I got my son. Okay, you want to work out with me? Let's do it,
Yeah.
And then you're showing them that's normal part of life, or prioritizing. When I do leave for the gym, I say, okay, mommy's taking this time because it's very important for her to take care of her body. Yeah. So longevity, I want to be around for you.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And
modeling it, talking to our kids, showing them we're people, that we have to make these decisions through the day anyways too. Because our identity could be a mom. And so then you feel that guilt of like, oh, but I'm taking away from them. But I mean, it's normal to feel that way, but you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah. You need to find a balance. Yeah. Find a balance. And oftentimes that's really hard. So if I love what we shared right now. Is there some information that we haven't touched base that I know would be so important to a lot of people?
Yes, definitely. I was diagnosed the second time. I had my 2 kids. So since I did chemo, it was very important to ask, do you want to have kids if you're diagnosed young with breast cancer, and find out your options. So I was given the option of doing Zoladex, which is an injection to protect your ovaries, put you into menopause. And I did that. And so by doing that, I was able to have my son and daughter about a year and a half after chemo was done.
That's good to know.
Yes, so important to know. And so that is the best so I just want to put that out there for anybody. My second journey, my son was 2 and my daughter was a newborn.
Oh, wow.
When I felt a lump again, so I was just in the shower. So self-checks are important, paying attention, but I was just washing with soap and I felt something that didn't feel right, a lump. And it was to the side of my reconstruction. So again, that whisper, that knowing, I knew immediately I needed to call my oncologist. And I did the next day, got in, and I was diagnosed again.
Wow. With 2 young ones.
With 2 young ones.
Wow.
That was December of 2020. So January 2021, started chemo again. All of that journey's vlogged on my YouTube. And coming to your podcast today and knowing that it's titled Not Alone, I know that my channel, which is my name, Marina Blackford, I've had so many people say, your videos help me so much. They help me feel not alone just by watching a lot of those vlogs and those tip videos. So I would say anybody young or with kids on the chemo journey, that it can be very helpful. And I'd say use that. Absolutely. And I do pop in for lives on my YouTube channel. So again, with the goal of letting people just feel connected and not alone, because that's what saved me. 1, knowing I was exactly where I needed to be, the trust. And 2, knowing that my mom had done it before me and that I saw that she got through chemo and it was hard, but she did it. So just knowing somebody else has done something before you, it's so empowering.
Yeah, I could see that.
So
somebody
empowering.
Watching you, they might not know anybody else, but now they can find you and watch you and be like, okay, I'm not alone to do this.
You're not alone.
Yeah, you're not alone, which is so important.
Yep.
And I have some guidance, right? Because it could be so confusing. Like you said, the Googling, and then also sometimes maybe family members might create more fear or not intentionally, but it's just their own, fear of losing you. Yep. And so it's so imperative to have somebody that's strong, gone through it and be like, okay, I have these tools and these tips. And and she's done it with 2 young kids, which I couldn't even imagine. Yeah. Going through all that because you, like you said, you had mentioned the fatigue and being able to take care of yourself during that time while you have 2 very young children.
Yeah. And I was working still too. So I worked 2 days a week during that time.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But that's what I chose to do because I liked that. I mean, it just kept me busy. It made me feel like not just a cancer patient at home, lethargic, I'm like, and when I feel well, I will go do what I can do.
And I'm sure just you with patients, if they knew what you were going through, you probably, help them.
For sure.
Because we see so many patients that are going through cancer as well and doing different illnesses too.
Yes.
So you're probably helping by being there and sharing your story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I loved our conversation. I have no doubt that who needed to hear that and how they can find you. I know you mentioned your YouTube, and we'll have it in the show notes too, but mention it again.
Yes. Yep. You can find me everywhere online with Marina Blackford. So that's my YouTube. That's my Instagram. That's my, what else do we have?
Yeah, TikTok, all the things. I know there's so many platforms.
LinkedIn. LinkedIn. So,
and then for the coaching wise, now how would that look like if somebody called you today, want to coach? Is it like, okay, I'm with you for a couple months, or completely it's not one size fits all? So you have the initial
it's not one size fits all. I usually do an intro call. That way we can see what your needs are. And then we set it up from there. I viewed it as like a doula. So when I had my son, I had a doula the first time, breath work, right? I was like, I did the hypnobirthing class.
Oh, I love that.
I was like, oh my gosh. Like,
I know I wanted a water birth, all the things, but God had a different plan.
Same. I mean, my son ended up in C-section.
Yeah, me too.
I know, which is so funny. I come into the hospital, my salt lamp. That's me. A hospital with a salt lamp. If that lets you know.
Yeah, I had my midwife and all the things. Yes,
that was me. So I view it like that. It's like having somebody in your corner during treatment. That is something that's available. So I have a really great resource at marinablackford.info. It's a free chemo checklist, and that is very helpful for knowing how to prep for your chemo day and what to take. And so I'd recommend that too.
Wow, I love that. I'm so honored. I always love how I find my guests, and I'm telling you, God sends me these guests because how the whole connection happened, and you called me, and there's no doubt that I needed to meet you and share your story, and this is my big why.
Yeah.
This is my
and if anybody's wondering, I made it to Boston too.
You did?
I ran Boston
Marathon.
Oh my
gosh, you did.
1 year after starting chemo. So
wow, that's incredible.
All things are possible.
All things are possible. Yeah. And mindset's a big one.
Yep.
So never giving hope, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people do get a diagnosis.
I didn't care how it would happen. I guess sometimes letting go of the how too. Because I was like, I will crawl across the finish line if I have to. But I
not overthink it.
But I will be there. It was just,
Not overthinking one day at a time, and you know, the prepping that you probably did leading up to it. And I like that you said that. Yeah. Don't overthink the how, because oftentimes we spiral in that.
Yes.
Like even from, the diagnosis, well, how am I going to serve? What am I going to have? Just one step at a time.
We get there one step at a time.
One step at a time.
And be surprised where you can get 1 year, 2 year, 5 years later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great way to end it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for listening today. And if you know someone that is going through a journey today of a cancer diagnosis, please share this episode. Please share Marina's information as well. Look at her YouTube. This could be the support you or a loved one needs today, and it could save them, give them hope. And that will have a ripple effect, because if they can be a cancer survivor, imagine them sharing their story as well. So let's continue in creating hope in the world and bringing light. Thank you.